on the Eagles Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to the EWU Athletics Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. Now, here's your host, the voice of Eagle Athletics, Larry Weir.
Welcome to this week's Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. As we talk Eastern Eagle football once again today, coming up, we've got running back Tuna Altahir, also safety Armani Orange, who got his first two collegiate interceptions on Saturday in the loss at Idaho State. Head coach Aaron Best joins us now here to begin the program. And Coach, at this point in time, I think after that Idaho State game, the one thing you want to do now this week is not let last week's loss affect what happens this week and for the rest of the season. Is that kind of the message to the team?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, really, it's live in the moment and don't, like we've talked about, sports is this way where you can't let a team beat you twice or allow a game to beat you against the next opponent. And we just didn't make enough plays in the stretch. A ton of plays up through 45 minutes of ball. And but you're right. We got out to practice today. It was energized, and we're not ready. We still got more days to prepare. But we're in attack mode. We knew that there was a lot of good things, and you don't want to hammer out the bad things too bad, but you don't want to glorify the good things too good, because at the end of the day, it was the outcome we didn't anticipate. And sometimes those are the hardest things. When you anticipate something different than what actually happens, that can kind of sting you a little bit more. But the way the schedule rolls out, we've talked about it multiple times this year, having Sunday off and then Monday practice has allowed to at least to put this on the back burner a little bit, to get out to practice, to prep for the next one, and we'll get in Pats tomorrow.
I've gotten completely off the social media, and so the only way, if anybody has a question for me now, is they got to know who I am, and they send me a text or call me or send me an email or something along those lines. And a couple of people actually have contacted me, and they said, why couldn't Eastern have challenged the Chisholm play that was a touchdown or not a touchdown in the latter part of the third quarter? And I said, I know that the coaches don't have the flag that they throw out on the field like you do in the NFL, but I don't know why. So explain what the rule is. Can you challenge a play? Or if you ask for a review, do the officials have to give it to you? Or what happens in college football?
Yeah, essentially you have to have a timeout to challenge. Every play in its entirety is, air quote, looked at. Turnovers and or scoring plays and or out of bounds, in-out plays, possession and such are reviewed. With what they've done over the last probably 4 or 5 years is they've minimized the time in between. They're looking at it as it's going on. So they want coaches not to have to call timeouts to slow the game down to challenge calls, because they're looking at it actively as it's going on. Having a couple timeouts at that point on the sideline, conversations take place. We're looking at it. They look at every scoring play, whether it's an obvious scoring play or not, gets looked at. And at that point, it was something they didn't stop the clock. The game keeps rolling. And at that point, you either have to use a timeout and challenge really challenging something that they've already looked at and kind of thumbed up, or you don't call a timeout and maybe they buzz it at some point and take another look at it. So we've been in a couple of these over the years where timeouts are precious, and that's the thing. If you challenge, then you lose a timeout, and knowing we probably needed a timeout or two, as always, especially in the second half of games, those are precious. So you lose an opportunity to stop a clock down the road if you challenge something that conceivably they're already looking at and either confirming or not confirming before you get to the challenge mark. At the end of the day, the NC2A wants us to hold our timeouts for obvious reasons, not for challenge purposes, because they're already looking at those things in the booth. And no one came to me and said that they're looking at it, or that they've confirmed or not confirmed. They said that all's go, and you're forced to either challenge what they've already looked at and lose a timeout, or call the next play. And, there's many plays in a game that could conceivably produce an outcome of a game, but that's not why the game was won or lost on that play.
And if you take your challenge and you lose it, then you don't have another challenge, correct? If you need to have another one in the fourth quarter play, you just get one.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you're right when you do that. And then probably what compounded it a little bit is the fact that this isn't the NFL. We don't have cameras on all corners of the stadium. So that was across the way, tough to see, et cetera, et cetera. So that explains, for those of you who have called me and texted me and what forth asking about that, there is your explanation regarding that. Eastern's had some gut punch losses that you've been a part of. You've been a part of more than 300 Eastern Washington University football games. But for a regular season game, that was as big of a gut punch as I can remember having.
Yeah, it wasn't fun on the road. Coming off a bye, felt energized, prepped. And again, I mean, anybody that saw that we can't get down in the first three quarters. We came out 35-14 that first half. We took the first kickoff of the game back to the other end zone, which was always a good sign, but there was a yellow hanky on the field. Ended up the ensuing drive punting. But we came out with a ton of passion, a ton of energy, and came out probably better than most games down in Pocatello for 30 minutes and really for 45 minutes. And it's always the 15 minutes. Momentum's a weird thing. We talked about as a team in sports, momentum is a truly weird, wicked thing. And we just couldn't grasp any of it back or even pause the momentum at times. And they made a few awesome plays. I mean, at the end of the day, awesome plays. The one 4th and 13, the one 3rd and 13 down the sidelines in between, a cover 2 safety and a cover 2 bail corner. There's play. You have to make plays in those moments, and they made more plays in those moments than we did at the end in that crucial 15-minute period.
Kakovas Ferris, his first 400-yard game. Efton Chisholm, 13 catches, over 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, potentially could have been 3 with another catch and a few more yards on that. Miles Williams, his very first touchdown catch in his career, which was a beautiful catch. Armani Orange, a couple interceptions, his first 2 along those lines. There were a lot of good things that happened in this football game for Eastern. And I'm sitting up in the stands, with Larry with our headsets on, and I fully believed Eastern was going to go right back down the field at the end of that game and win it. And you had the chance to do that.
Yeah, we did. There's a ton of good, and the most awesome thing is talk about the ton of good and with a win, that accompanies a win, but you still don't want to look at the good in a different way because it was still good regardless of the outcome of the game. That ball 6 feet left of where it hit. They call timeout and it goes through the uprights. The first one, and Soren said he actually felt a little bit less pressure that second kick when we actually, because you can't call back-to-back timeouts this year, so we knew it was going to be a go, and it just didn't go that way. But it doesn't discredit the other 59 minutes and 58 seconds before that time. Or 52 seconds before that. There's 8 seconds left in the game. We got in a position to get down after the ball to Anthony Stell in a clutch situation with one timeout. Zero was different on Saturday. He had his best game of his career by far. Commanded the offense, came out, was energetic, was a leader, just had a different vibe to him, a really, really good focused vibe, and guys got on board, and when he's better, we're all better, and they did a lot of good things on offense. That offense was prepared. They were ready to go. We just, couldn't find a way to get to the paint in the second half, and the big one, like you said, was Armani Orange's second interception, coming back, really, Boas picked it about the, minus 45, minus 40, and he went back and forth, zigzag, back to, inside the 5, and then all of a sudden we had an ensuing holding penalty, and that's one thing we will clean up. It's not a must. We will. Too many penalties. It was 9 for 68 on record, but it was really 10 for 73, and, some of those are pre-snap and post-whistle, but a couple of those are technical difficulties where they were physical small grabs, and that cost us. There was almost 200 yards of hidden yards, 90 on that kickoff return to start the game. Those are things that aren't in the stat book, but when you really look back, it's a 90-yard penalty because we took it to the house, and those things are tough. So those things we will clean up, and we must clean up because when you're on the road, when you're playing in this league, those things can back you up. And 1st and 15 is a way different story than 1st and 10.
I've learned over the years as a player and as a longtime coach in high school and as a broadcaster, you look at losses, and I think Larry had a great comment about not letting it beat you twice. The ones where you get blown out, and I've been in those, where you just got throttled, you walk off the field and said, okay, that game's over. These games have a tendency to linger, but you can also come back with an attitude the next week, and that's to get fired up and take it out on the opponent coming in. And you've got a lot of reason to be fired up to play coming up on Saturday. And is that energy that you can use that's positive? Is that something you can mold, or you just let them kind of work through the process?
Well, I think it's case by case. I mean, we want that positive energy. We want the production. We want a little bit of we want a little sting. I mean, if you're not stung, you're again doing it for the wrong reasons, and maybe you got a different mindset and focus. You need to be stung, but the sting can't halt your progress going forward, no matter who's on deck, because it's in the books. You got to remember it, but you can't live in it, whether it's a win and feel too good, or a loss and feel too bad, because the next one's on deck 7 days from it, and you only get 11 of these in fall. And like I said, it's individual responses driven by the culture of the team, and those guys have done a good job. It doesn't make it easier to look each other in the eyes, knowing that we didn't get done what we anticipated to get done on the road, and we're in a similar spot where Weber State is. We're trying to find our second Big Sky victory at the end of the day, and we feel not awesome where we're at, but we're together. We're staying productive. We're starting to get explosive on both sides. We're turning the ball over on defense for our offense to get back. So there's some things that we naturally can build on. We just got to do it again. Game 60 minutes long for a reason. It's not 3 periods, it's 4 quarters. So if it were hockey, we would have had a hell of a game, but it was football, and we had not a hell of a game on Saturday.
All right, Weber State comes to town on Saturday for whatever reason. This has been a tough matchup for Eastern over the last 5 or 6, 7 years.
Yeah, it's they present problems. They're middle close defense on versus our offense. They play a lot of man free. They're grabby. They're handsy. They play catch technique well. They have great defensive players, great defensive minded coaches. They make you work for every inch, not even every yard. They make you work for every inch. So play calling's at a premium. You're only going to get so many possessions again against a team that doesn't play high up-tempo, no-huddle offense. So possessions are at a premium. Yards are at a premium. First downs are at a premium. Breaking tackles are you have to break tackles when they have one more in the box, and we do. You got to change up. They mix it up enough on defense to play a little zone, and when you're thinking zone, they throw man at you. When you're thinking man, they throw zone at you. They got a big offensive front. They're trying to find their footing at quarterback a little bit. They play 3 different guys, 2 guys in last game, and so they kind of have a run option quarterback, kind of their wildcat guy, and then kind of their thrower last week, but who knows? The starter from a couple weeks ago isn't even on the 2 deep, and so I don't know where that is. We don't know who they intend to play, but we got to prepare for all 3, and all 3 have similarities, but a few differences. And so offensively, they like to RPO, they like to run the ball, they like to time a possess the ball and keep the ball out of your hands, and they're explosive on special teams. And don't forget that third piece. I mean, their kick returner is the best in the nation by a long shot, and so we've got to be strategic. We got to be smart, but we're not going to be scared.
Head coach Jay Hill is no longer there. He's a defensive coordinator at BYU. You have a new regime there. They've struggled this year, and it's been really interesting, similar in terms of what they've done in the past with on the offensive side with a big offensive line. They like to kind of RPO you, as you mentioned. They like their tight ends. They love to work those guys in, and then they'll take shots downfield. Is that similar to what you've seen thus far on film, or have they changed with the new regime to do some stuff differently?
No, they do a lot of the same things. The offensive coordinator then worked into the head coaching role, Coach Mental, and so he does a lot of the same things. Offensively, they do some similar. They play to their strengths, and that's possessing the ball. That's not turning the ball over. That's keeping the ball on the ground. They don't want to throw it if they don't have to throw it. But again, like you said, they could 7 and 8 man protect. All of a sudden, before you know it, you got a someone sleeping in man or eyes in a bad spot and jumps a route or something. All of a sudden you lose your luggage a little bit, and all of a sudden he's 10 yards behind you. So it's gonna challenge us from a I wouldn't say a patience standpoint, but a strategical standpoint on defense as well, to make sure we're gap sound in the run, but also on our eyes in the right spots, whether we're zone or man on defense. But we got to make plays. We got to make plays behind the line of scrimmage. I thought we did a great job last week against the run. First 2 plays of the game were run. We sniffed it out. We put them in a position to have to throw the ball, and I think considerably Idaho State's not strong at running the ball, but we did what we did to keep the playbook essentially one-dimensional. And I'd like to do that again by keeping the ball out of the running back's hands. They're an 11 to 12 personnel quite a bit and kind of lean on you, and we got to find ways to tackle behind the line of scrimmage, make them throw the ball in the air, something that they don't want to have to do.
And on the offensive side, there's been some really good Eastern offenses that have taken on Weber State and had some tough times, not only scoring, but moving the football. And I would expect another defensive slobber knocker coming in because that's their pride. They love to have good corners that are rangy, big kids up front. They're smart in how they pressure you. And then they also try to win the special teams battle. So are you seeing on film in terms of this year's team a similar type setup defensively and special teams for the Wildcats?
In both those areas, they have all Big Sky players, they have all Americans, they have future NFL prospects and pro players. It's they're as talented as any on defense and the special teams, and they've shown it through halfway through the season. The proof is in the pudding. They're doing it again in a lot of those respective spots. Big D line, they don't get pushed around. They play gap sound. Their football IQ is better than most. You could tell that by just watching on film because they don't pressure a ton, but when they do, they still stay gap sound. And so windows are tighter in man. That. Some DBs want to play man, but they don't want to play man for 60 snaps a game because at some point some breaks down. But that puts the onus on the quarterback. Those windows are tighter. Those breaks are harder to get in and out of it because there are closer distances you're having to work with. And it's funny you ask because I was just talking about to Afton today. I said, what do you prefer, zone or man? Just in general, just the overarching zone. Man goes, honestly, 50-50. One isn't more so than the other. He works in the slot, so he's got a little bit more space when a guy's playing catch man. But, some guys may prefer zone, some guys may prefer man. But when you play a certain style of defense and you play with the talent level they have and the length they have and the football IQ they have and the toughness they have, that makes life more difficult for a quarterback and or a receiving unit. So we again will have our work cut out for us Saturday here at 4 o'clock, and we've got to create our own space and do it in a legal fashion. Move the sticks and not worry about the explosive. Let the explosive come to us. Don't go out of our way to create explosives.
Homecoming this week, you just talked about it. Does that create more incentive, especially this year as because it's a night game, there's going to be fireworks afterwards, et cetera, et cetera. Is it more special this year maybe than in the past?
I think every year, honestly, Larry, is special. Homecoming is, guys coming back watching, the team that they once played for, the school they once went to be able to perform, and the red turf is so iconic. These guys come back. Some of these guys once a year, sometimes, every home game, sometimes every couple years, and it becomes a little bit more, I guess, special when guys text and call and leave messages to say, hey, I'm coming to town. I can't wait to see the squad and get back on track. And it's been a couple years, whatever the case may be. It makes it a little bit sweeter because maybe those things didn't happen at against Southeast Louisiana or whatever the case may be. So it's a reason for guys to come back to be able to watch the team they once played for in a different year with different guys. And we got an exciting brand of football, and Zero's coming into his own, and so it's exciting to see because he's going to spread the wealth, and we get that run game on track and do some things. But it's gonna be tough, but it'll be fun in front of a lot of guys he played with and coached and have bumped shoulders with over the years. Certainly homecoming special.
Coach, thanks for the time. Good luck against the Wildcats.
Thanks so much, guys.
And that's head coach Aaron Best. When we come back, our player interviews. We'll talk to Tuna Altahir first, then Armani Orange here on Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
When you work around here, your day can go all over the map. You need a truck that takes on any task and keeps working hard no matter what crops up. Smart and tough trucks from Corwin Ford make your work easier, whether it's finding your destination or getting to work once you're there. So load up, head out, and no matter where you tow, you'll be on track to get the job done. Corwin Ford, family driven for over 100 years.
And the Eagles have it first and goal, and a Wildcat formation now with Altahir, the quarterback. Altahir will run to the left side, cuts upfield inside the 5, into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown, Eastern Washington. Tuna Altahir out of the Wildcat, a designed run off left tackle. Welcome back to Flight Report from TDS Fiber. We move now to our player interviews for this week, and we start with running back Tuna Altahir out of Kamiakin High in Kennewick. You came to Eastern a couple of years ago with two of your teammates, Woodley Downard and Messiah Jones. So was it kind of and there have been other Kamiakin guys before them. So was Eastern kind of the thing within your team there? Was it kind of a group decision? What happened there?
I would say a little bit, but I would say just like the family portion that Coach Best bought when he was recruiting me. I think that was the biggest thing for sure. He would just preach, like he preached academics. He wasn't like other coaches. He was preaching academics, preaching family, and I think that was the biggest thing. Like football was obviously up there, but other things was definitely important. Like you talk to some other coaches, you don't talk to the head coach. Like I was talking to him like a lot actually, so that was pretty cool. You
were born in Cairo, Egypt.
Yeah.
When did you come to the U.S.?
I came to the U.S. when I was 6 months.
So that is you basically then were you're not a guy that came like when you're Samson Abacom. When he came, he was I think 7.
Yeah.
And so he had to learn the language and learn everything. So that was all second nature to you. But you've got a football playing family.
Yeah.
Your parents are from Africa. So are they? Well, how in the world did we get all these boys playing American football and none of them are playing the football they grew up with, which is what we call soccer?
Yeah. Honestly, it was my cousins. That was like so when we first came here, like I was like 5, and we had a guy at our church who came over and like signed up our cousins for football. And then I was like young, and I just saw them in the shoulder pads and stuff, and I was like, oh, I need to go play. And so I signed up like the next year, and then that's how I just became in love with football.
When did you start playing football in terms of what age? I mean, was it like a grid kids kind of thing?
Yeah, it was a grid kids. I started when I was 5, yeah.
Were you like this size now and you went and just dominated and crushed people? Or were you like me where you really teeny tiny and everybody beat up on you?
I mean, I was pretty big, honestly. I was bigger than all the other kids, and I think, I was pretty big, I would say.
Did they have a weight limit? Sometimes as a running back, at the lower level, if you weigh over a certain weight, they won't let you play that. Did you have that issue?
Yeah, we had weight limits too, but I was fine. Like, I always made the weight and stuff.
Well, I always admire running backs because that's a position you get pounded. I mean, and you probably played a lot of other spots growing up, but, it's interesting because it's really, what you see and your ability to make cuts on the fly and the toughness that you have to, the yards after contact. And you guys are getting better, as the game goes on.
Yeah.
And I think the running game is a really important aspect right now for Eastern, and you guys, I think, went out and showed that against ISU, had a great first half. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you guys kind of work on? Is that, pride within the running back room? You want to be that group that leads this team?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, like, obviously, we have, our receivers, I would say, probably the best in the nation, honestly, and then we obviously want to be up there right with them and just be able to run the ball at any time, knowing, like, whoever's in the game, we're going to be just fine. And I think, our coach does, like, every time, like he says, make a 2-yard gain into a 4-yard gain, and I think that's, like, the biggest thing we preach, like, not getting tackled, like, by the first guy and stuff like that.
Well, I like the linemen. They're giving you the tush push, when they get a chance. If there's a rugby scrum there, all of those big guys want to get in there and kind of move the pile. There are times when you're off the ground and you're just getting pulled along with them.
Oh, yeah, all the time, honestly. Like, say, like, we run, like, an inside zone, like, inside, and you just sometimes your feet are moving still, but – and then you just feel people from behind you. You just keep going, and it's a pretty cool feeling, though.
Are there games when you get into it and you start running, you start to get a feel like, okay, this is a game I'm going to dominate, where you kind of get that rhythm going, and you do better the more touches you get. Have you had that feeling yet?
Somewhat. I mean, I would say, yeah, like, as the game goes on, I feel like I get better, honestly. At the start, I mean, you still get, like, getting a feel for it, but as the game goes on, I feel like that's when you start to wear out teams, and then that's when you start to put the gas on them.
We were bummed because we thought you were going to have your first 2-touchdown rushing attack, and and there were some costly penalties in that game on Saturday, and that wiped out your touchdown as well. But it was and I had no doubt in my mind that Eastern was going to come back, go right down the field just like you did, kick a field goal and win the game, because that's what Eastern has always done. And it's just one of those nights where it's a matter of inches. A lot of things had to go right for the Bengals, a lot of things had to go wrong for you guys, but you were still in a position to win that game. How does that make you feel kind of moving forward, knowing you got a pretty good Weber State team coming in on Saturday?
Knowing that we have them coming up, we just got to focus on them now. I mean, that's the past now. I feel like we just got to move on, just keep working, and we know we have the team that, I mean, we could really put some problems in the Big Sky. I would say, I mean, I thought we had that game for sure. We just had little things we had to clean up, just stuff like that. But now Weber State's coming. We're focused on them.
And Weber State is not one of my favorite teams.
Yeah.
It's not, because they have a tendency to do some extracurriculars and things, kind of around the pile, off the sidelines. They've done that for years, and that's always a team that if I'm playing, I'd kind of like to play and just make sure the refs aren't looking. I'm sorry, don't do that. Just play your game and win it. That's the best way to do that. But is this a game you're going to get fired up for?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our coach was saying Coach Best was saying that they've came here. And 21 they beat us, and then they beat us last year. And like, I don't know when's the last time Eastern beat them, and it was something like that. So I mean, now that we get to see them again, I think it's time that we get after them.
You are with your parents coming to the country from Egypt and Africa. You're a first-generation college student. You have a brother in college as well, and other siblings that have been through. But what does it mean to you to be that first-generation student?
It's really cool, honestly, because I get to talk to my cousins back home and stuff, and I just tell them all about it. My parents, that's really all they wanted us to do, is just go to school, and now that we get to do that and I get to go to school for free, it's a big thing for them.
Have you been back to Africa since you came to America?
No, I was supposed to go back during COVID, and our trip was all booked and everything, but COVID happened, so we couldn't go, so we had to cancel everything.
That brings me to the next thing with COVID. You were part of your senior season in football was supposed to be the fall of 2020. Did that impact? Did that cause stress? What was that like for you at the time?
It was weird, honestly, because I mean they would say like, oh yeah, we might have a season, and then they did end up canceling it. So that sucked for sure. But I mean, at least we got to play our 6 games during our senior season during the spring. So at least we got to play with our friends one more time.
All right, a couple of fast questions here for you. What's your favorite food?
African food. It's called kisra.
Something your mom makes?
Yeah.
What do you eat dessert? What would be your favorite dessert then after something like that?
Cheesecake.
Your dream car?
I don't know on that one.
Are you a movie guy, or are you watching like series, that kind of thing?
I'm a series guy.
What's your favorite at this point?
My favorite of all time is Criminal Minds.
Is that something you want to do in your future? Something related to, crime, etc.?
Yeah.
Is that your major?
Yeah, criminal justice.
And so, I mean, long term here, after football, what do you want to do with life?
Probably go to law school or something, be a paralegal. That's probably what I'm looking forward to.
And so, is that something that's kind of been in your family? Do you have people that are in law in your family?
No, I don't. But my best friend, his sister is she's up at Gonzaga right now at their law school, and so I've talked to her a whole bunch, and yeah, she's helped out with a lot with it.
Tuna, thanks for the time. We appreciate it, and good luck rest of the year.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
That's Tuna Altahir, Eagle running back. When we come back, we'll talk to defensive back Armani Orange. That's next on Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
Come visit The Plains, a 9-hole golf course and practice facility with 2 full-length practice holes, a 60-yard wedge area, putting green, and driving range. We are also now home to the new Plains Public House, a great place to catch the game and grab a drink. Located at 9810 West Melville Road, Cheney, Washington. Just 10 minutes from downtown Spokane. To find out more information, go to theplains509.com. That's theplains509.com.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Order Bud Light online today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Back to throw it is Cook on first down. Rolls out to the right side, being pursued. Fires a deep ball down the right side. Man is open, and that ball is intercepted. It's underthrown, and Armani Orange has his first career interception. back at the 31-yard line of Eastern Washington. Welcome back to Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. The Eagles take on Weber State. It's homecoming on Saturday, 4 o'clock kickoff, fireworks after the game. Tickets are still available. We've never had fireworks after a game here that I can remember at Roos Field. And so tickets available online. Go Eags.com and click on the tickets link. Safety Armani Orange joins us. I talked to Tuna a little bit just a second ago about your same situation, your COVID year. You're supposed to be, or your senior season was the fall of 2020. That didn't happen for you, but you're thankfully from California, so you can play a little earlier than the poor guys could in Washington. But what kind of an impact was that for you in high school?
It was a different impact. My school that I played at, we actually played 5 games, and we played a team twice. So it was kind of different with getting the motivation to play and not having to playoff games, not being able to go to the championship. So that was different, but we went 5-0. Had a great season with my guys, ended my senior year off great, actually.
You ran the ball in high school. You caught the ball in high school. You passed the ball in high school. You tackled people in high school. You did everything. You probably played in the band at halftime, and I didn't see anything about kicking points and things like that, but maybe you kicked a little bit too. I don't know. Do you miss not doing more things in the game of football?
Yeah, I would say I miss it for sure. Like scoring touchdowns are, I would say, the most exciting thing in football history is just being able to score touchdowns, but flipping it over to the defensive side, having that dog energy with the defense and just be playing as one. I always had a love for the defensive side, so I would say I'm fitted in perfect.
Did the fact that you played a lot on offense, does that help you now on defense?
Yes. I would say it totally does help me. Playing on offense, you kind of understand what offenses want to do and where they're trying to go on certain plays. So being able to translate that to the defensive side was for sure made it a little bit easier.
And that made a difference on Saturday night. You had your first 2 interception game, and had a chance to house it. And unfortunately, you didn't get to bring it in there. Yeah. Next time, please score. And then you won't have to worry about a hold and things like that. But I thought you made a great break on the ball, and then you were right there on the overthrow, for that second one. And if you guys punch that in instead of kicking a field goal, that game's over.
Yeah.
So defense has been a huge impact for you. Tell us about those interceptions.
Well, I would say like the first interception was a man call, so I just played that route good, and I still go back and look at things that I could have did better to play that route better, but I was fortunate enough to come up with the interception. Then my second interception, that one was a little fun after that, running and having all my guys block for me, and even when I go back and look at the film and see how hard they were blocking and how executed that return was, and I wish I would have got it in there, but next time for surely.
Were you always a safety? Do you ever play corner or nickel or outside backer? What were the positions that you played growing up?
I started off actually as a linebacker. I started off as a linebacker in little leagues, and then as I progressed, I became a corner, and I played corner. Then I was switched from corner to safety in high school, and then came up here and just got recruited as a safety. So.
Well, I think you guys are playing really well, and as a safety, you're kind of, instead of a corner, you have kind of a third of the field. You get the whole field. Being over the top and being able to make plays and chase guys down and, fill on the alleys and things like that's a pretty fun thing to be able to do. What's your best quality in terms of those different kinds of things for you? What are you the best at?
I would say I'm better at like man technique, and I mean even playing back there in the post, I'm getting better at reading the quarterback and making decisions, seeing where the offenses will want to go, and seeing what offenses are designed and where they're trying to reach at on the field. So I would say my strength will be in man, but playing the post is for sure.
Well, I think that helps you as a corner.
Yeah,
you learn how to cover.
Exactly.
And then at this level, you're going to see so much film so you can recognize routes. And as the game goes on, you recognize tendencies. Does that really help you become quicker as a DB in terms of reacting to plays?
Yes, most definitely. I would say it starts in film and watching film all throughout the week and seeing, as I said, what tendencies that the wide receivers like to run and what depth they like to run it at, where they like to align at on the field. So all that plays a huge factor into that one play, that one rep you want to win, and all those little things play into one factor. And
You know, it's interesting, too, coming out of California, my brother and sister still live there. They have NIL in high school.
Really?
I don't know. I was going to ask you, did that start when you were playing? Because they had legislation that allowed once you become 18, you can do NIL. And some of the private schools, a lot of those seniors are getting money now. That's crazy from that perspective. How would that have impacted you or would have?
Yeah, I did hear about that actually. Like I would say my junior year, I heard about the NIL deals coming out and then it reaching into high school players. So that's for sure a good thing to have on your side as to having an NIL deal. Totally would love to have an NIL deal and to open my opportunity to have an NIL deal. And if you're blessed enough to have that, I would say for sure you can use that as a benefit.
Armani, had you heard of Eastern Washington University before you started getting recruited here?
Yes, I actually did. You know, the red field, of course. You know, the red field was Boise, and then I heard about the red field and Cooper Cup coming through here. So, and some other big names out there that came through here. So, you know, it's just, and then once I got on the talk with Coach Best and seeing how family oriented and then how much they wanted me is, you know, I couldn't ask for anything more.
What did you think when you first saw it?
I just couldn't wait to get on it, honestly. I couldn't wait to get on it and actually play my first game. You know, suiting up as a freshman. It's great seeing, like, going against other teams, but it's different when you actually step on the red. And that's what I say, being here and being for this organization, stepping on the red, being about the red is a whole different feeling.
All right, you've got a young safety room there. You've got yourself, Kentrell, you've got Drew Carter, Thornton, et cetera, plus guys redshirting and waiting to come up through the ranks. So what's that like in that room right now? And you're going to have competition in that room for quite a while.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we have a bunch of young guys, and they're coming up, and they're learning day by day, and they're exceeding at their position. Me, Kentrell, we're just trying to lead by example and just play for the organization.
Has the game gotten a little slower for you as you've gone on? You didn't get a lot of playing time last year. You've started since the beginning of this season. Has it gotten a little slower for you the longer you've gone?
Yes, I would say it slowed down just a little bit due to the amount of film of watching. You know, once you start to watch more film and as the week goes through, you start to see tendencies and figure out what they want to do and what they like to go to and who's their best wide receivers. So watching film makes the game for sure slow down.
All right, a few quick questions for you. I asked Tuna a few. Do you remember your first team that you played on, first football team you played on?
Yes, the Paris Patriots.
How old were you?
I was 7.
Do you have a role model, a guy from the NFL or something that you like to maybe pattern your game after?
Yes, I would say more of Darrelle Revis. He's a man guy, even though he's a corner. I just like the way that he plays in man and just his dog mentality that he has. Revis Island.
What's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal, I would say lobster, mashed potatoes, and steak.
How much of that do you get here at Eastern?
Not much.
Who's your hero?
I would say my hero is my dad. He's always been there for me. Been through some things in life, but he's always been there for me. I couldn't ask for any more.
Who got you started in football?
My dad as well. And I have an older brother, so when he played football, I believe we started the same year. He was 9. So, yeah, we started the same year. My dad got us into football.
You're also a first-generation college student. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to your family?
It means a lot. It means a lot. It means the world. It's to lead by example and try to show my brothers and everybody that's coming up under me that it's possible to be here and to be on that stage and to live out your dreams, to live out what you want to do in life.
Are you starting to get acclimated to Cheney?
Yes. The snow is a little harder. You know, it's harder in the snow for sure. You know, going to class and being able to, you know, still live life in the snow. You're down there in Southern California, you never get snow. You know, so that's a big difference coming up here in the rain and not seeing the sun. But, yes, I'm starting to get acclimated.
Was it a little more fun the first year than maybe it will be coming up this winter and in future winters?
I feel like in certain aspects, certain aspects, it's getting more fun. And then certain aspects, you know, it's kind of like, I don't. It's kind of just the meals, you know, like even having to make yourself a meal out here is different. You know, I'm all the way in Southern California, so I don't just have a quick way home to get a good hot meal. You know, all my meals have to come from me. I'm a chef, thank you. And but yeah, for sure.
All right, so if you're a chef, what's your favorite thing to cook?
My favorite thing to cook, I like to make shrimp Alfredo.
All right.
Shrimp Alfredo, yeah.
Where'd you get that from? Did you learn that from your mom, or did you get it off a cooking video? How'd you do it?
Yeah, my grandma actually. She makes shrimp Alfredo. She's good at making shrimp, and she can make the noodles, so she got me into shrimp Alfredo.
All right, what are you majoring in? What do you want to do with life after football, whenever that is?
I'm majoring in business management, and after football, getting into real estate, trying to build some assets.
All right, very good. Congratulations on those 2 interceptions last week. I know there's a lot more to come in your Eagle career, and thanks for the time here today.
Thank you. I appreciate it for you guys for having me.
That's Armani Orange, and we'll be back and wrap things up here on the Flight Report presented by TDS Fiber after this timeout on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
George Gee Buick GMC is proud to support Eastern Eagles football. We're your locally owned dealer with excellent customer service and a friendly staff. Right now, get great offers on the all-new GMC Sierra, featuring a 2.7-liter turbo high-output engine delivering 310 horsepower. See our inventory of Sierras just off I-90 at George Gee Buick GMC, the top volume Buick GMC dealer in Washington State. Visit GeeBuickGMC.com.
Ferris claps his hands, takes a waist-high snap, fades back, wants to go deep, loads it up deep into the middle of the field. That is caught. Touchdown. Touchdown, Eastern Washington. Miles Williams, his first collegiate touchdown. Welcome back to Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. We do it every week. It's usually recorded on Mondays and up for you on Tuesday mornings. If you're a podcast listener and you subscribe to podcasts through Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of the other major outlets where you can download your podcast, just subscribe, and then it'll go right into your device as soon as it's up each week. Or go to goeags.com, click on fans, and then, or actually you hover over fans, and then you want to click on Flight Report, and if you go there every Tuesday morning, mid-morning probably, usually is when it's up, it should be ready to go for you and listen in that manner. Or Varsity Network App is another one that you can use in order to be able to listen to this program on a regular basis. The top 25 polls in FCS football going into this week, both Eastern and Weber, after their losses last week, fall out of the top 25. And here's what it looks like according to the Stats Perform poll. South Dakota State unanimously number 1. Montana State is number 2. Sacramento State ranked 3rd. Then Montana in at number 9 after their upset of Idaho in Moscow last week. And the Vandals are number 10. And UC Davis is ranked 23rd. They are the only teams in the top 25 this week. Both Weber State and Eastern Washington received votes, but not enough to get into the top 25. If you extrapolated the poll on down, Weber State would be 31st, actually tied for 30th, and the Eagles would be tied for 32nd in the poll. In the coaches poll, which is also released on a weekly basis, Montana State number 2 there as well. Sacramento State is ranked 4th, Montana 6th, Idaho 8th, and UC Davis in at number 23. And the only other Big Sky Conference team that received any votes at all was Portland State. They received 1 vote to be in the top 25 this week. That'll be the next road game for the Eagles coming up on October 28th. The Eagles will be in Hillsboro to take on the Vikings. Let's have a look at what's going on around Eagle Athletics this week. 2 big matches for the soccer team. Friday, they host third-place Northern Arizona starting at 3 at the EWU soccer field. Then Sunday at noon, they're at home against Northern Colorado. They need 2 wins this week and help from somebody else losing in order to make the top 6 and get into the postseason Big Sky Conference tournament. So the Eagles lost 2-1 in their last match. It was their 6th 1-goal loss of the season as they fell to Idaho on Sunday. The volleyball team lost their games over the weekend, both 4-set matches at Montana State and at Montana. They're 2 of the better teams in the conference at this point in time. And so the Eagles will remain on the road. They will have 1 game this week. It'll be Saturday at 1 o'clock at the University of Idaho. The basketball teams, both the men's and the women's teams, will be having their Eagle Madnest, M-A-D-N-E-S-T, Madnest rather than Madness. And it's happening on Wednesday night, October 18th, 7 p.m., Red Reese Court in Cheney. It's free to attend, And it's not only going to be the Eagle men's and women's basketball teams that'll be out there, and you'll be getting a slam dunk contest and shooting contests, and other things will be going on, but also Eastern's wheelchair basketball team will be there as well. It all starts again at 7 o'clock. There will be prizes given away and a whole lot of fun. That's happening on Red Reefs Court. Eagle Madness on Wednesday night, October 18th. And, of course, the Eagle football team is celebrating Eastern's 100th homecoming week with an afternoon contest against Weber State at Roos Field in Cheney. The Eagles will have fireworks after the game. That's something that has not been done that I can remember at any game in Cheney. And both teams need a win. Weber State's 3-4 overall. The Eagles are 2-4 overall. Both teams are 1-3. No, the Eagles are 1-2 in conference. Weber State is 1-3. The Eagles obviously coming off a very disappointing loss at Idaho State, a game in which they led 41-14 with 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter as they kicked off to Idaho State after the Eagles themselves had kicked a field goal. And Idaho State scored 4 touchdowns. They got an onside kick. Eastern drove down the field in the last minute, had a 38-yard field goal to win, and it went wide right. And so a very disappointing loss. In that loss, though, Keikoa Vesperis threw for 403 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a career best for him. Efton Chisholm III had 13 catches for 161 yards. That's his career highs in both of those, plus he had 2 touchdowns. Chisholm goes over 2,000 receiving yards for his career and also goes up to 190 catches in his career. That passed Shaq Hill and Andrew Boston in the top 10 career receptions list at Eastern. He trails Kendrick Bourne now. 21 more catches will tie Chisholm with Bourne, and 22 will pass Kendrick into 7th all-time in Eagle history. 4 o'clock for the game time. If you can listen on the radio in the Greater Spokane, Coeur d'Alene area, it's 700 ESPN, 105.3 FM. If you're in that area, roughly an hour outside of Spokane in any direction, you could also listen online at 700ESPN.com. And if you want to sync our game broadcast to what you see on the TV, that's a good way to do it if you're in the local area. If you're outside the area, the Varsity Network app, you can download that for free on your Apple or your iPhone and listen there. And again, you can sync it all up with your television, or go to goeags.com, click on the football schedule, and then they have a listen link there. You can go there and click on listen on the web. You'll go to the Varsity Network site, and it'll give you 3 choices: listen via the app, listen via the web, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but you want to listen via the web. And again, you can sync us to the TV as well using that. 3 o'clock for the pregame show, 4 o'clock for the kickoff on Saturday. Eastern Washington against Weber State, a team the Eagles have really struggled to beat over the last few years. We want to thank you for listening here to this podcast. We'd also like to thank our guests, head coach Aaron Best, and our player guests, running back Tuna Altahir, the sophomore out of Kamahikan High in Kennewick, and Armani Orange, the sophomore safety out of California. We'll be back again next week with another edition of Flight Report presented by TDS Fiber here on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
You've been listening to the EWU Athletics Flight Report presented by TDS Fiber. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Eagle Sports Network.